Welcome to my channel, 24/7 English. I'm Connor, and I'm here to help you speak English with confidence. Let me ask you this. Do you ever freeze up when trying to speak English? Struggle to find the right words, feel anxious, or worry about sounding wrong? But today, I'm going to show you how to break through that fear. In this video, I'll share simple, proven techniques that will help you overcome speaking anxiety, stop second-guessing yourself, and start talking like a confident communicator. Imagine expressing yourself clearly, joining conversations with ease, and finally sounding natural. That's the goal. And the best part? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be brave. So if you're ready to turn nervous silence into powerful speech, hit play, and let's build your English fluency together, 24/7. Chapter 1: The Power of Preparation. The truth is, confidence doesn't magically appear. It grows from preparation. And when it comes to speaking English, preparation is your best friend. That's where we begin, not with flashy words or complex phrases, but with the fundamentals. Mastering the building blocks of English is like laying a strong foundation for a house. Without it, every conversation feels shaky, uncertain. But when you know the structure, everything becomes smoother, more natural. Let's start with pronunciation. One of the most overlooked yet powerful parts of English speaking. You might have a rich vocabulary or perfect grammar, but if people can't understand what you're saying, it becomes frustrating. And that frustration leads to silence. So how do you improve pronunciation? Start small. Choose 5 words a day that are hard for you. Use online tools like Forvo or Youglish to hear how native speakers pronounce them in real conversations. Repeat them aloud. Record yourself. Listen. Compare. It might feel awkward, even silly at first, but this daily habit works. Slowly, your tongue adjusts, your mouth gets used to the rhythm, and suddenly, your words begin to land the way they should. Then comes grammar. I know what you're thinking. Grammar can feel boring, technical, maybe even overwhelming. But think of it as the blueprint of English. You don't have to memorize every rule to speak fluently, but understanding the basics, subject-verb agreement, simple tenses, question formation, gives you the freedom to build real conversations. Focus on high-frequency grammar structures that are used in everyday speech. For example, instead of worrying about the future perfect continuous tense, start with present simple and past simple. Nail those first. You'll be amazed at how much clearer your speech becomes when you stop overthinking and start using what actually works. Now let's talk vocabulary. Most learners try to memorize long lists of words, hoping to sound smart or advanced. But memorization without context doesn't stick. So instead of learning 100 new words a week, focus on 10 that you'll actually use. Pick words related to your life, your job, hobbies, daily routines. Use them in your speaking practice immediately. Create mini stories or sentences with them. The goal isn't to know a million words. It's to own the words you already know. When you do that, fluency follows naturally. But building your language system is only half of the preparation puzzle. The second half? Practice, practice, practice. Speaking is not a knowledge problem. It's a performance problem. You could know everything in theory, and still freeze when it's your turn to talk. That's why consistent speaking practice is non-negotiable. Luckily, you don't need to live in an English-speaking country to practice every day. You just need to get a little creative. Start by using language exchange platforms like HelloTalk, Tandem, or Speaky. These apps connect you with native speakers who want to learn your language while helping you learn theirs. It's a win-win. Don't worry about being perfect. The point is to engage in real conversations, even if they're messy. You'll learn more from a 10-minute voice chat than from hours of silent reading. You'll also begin to develop rhythm, the natural music of spoken English. Another option? Join speaking clubs or online conversation groups. Many are free and run weekly sessions on Zoom or Telegram. The benefit here is that you get to hear different accents, practice group communication, and most importantly, get over the fear of public speaking. At first, you may be nervous. Your heart might race, your mind might go blank. That's okay. It's not about being fearless. It's about doing it scared until the fear fades. If live interaction feels too intimidating right now, start by talking to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. Narrate your day. Argue with yourself about what to eat. It sounds strange, but it rewires your brain to think in English. And when you can think in English, speaking becomes 10 times easier. Remember, every minute you speak is a deposit into your confidence bank. Alongside all this technical work, there's one often ignored tool that can transform your journey: visualization. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a proven psychological technique used by athletes, public speakers, and yes, even language learners. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself walking into a room full of English speakers. You feel calm, grounded. Someone asks you a question, and you respond smoothly. Your voice is steady. You're smiling. People nod and laugh. They understand you. You're not just surviving the moment, you're owning it. This isn't just imagination, it's mental rehearsal. And your brain responds to it almost the same way it does to real-life practice. If you repeatedly visualize successful conversations, your anxiety begins to shrink. You build positive associations with speaking English instead of fear-based ones. Start your day with this simple routine: 3 minutes of visualization before your practice session. See yourself winning. Hear your voice sounding clear. Over time, your brain will believe it, and your mouth will follow. Remember, preparation isn't just about language drills. It's about building emotional safety. Most learners fail to speak confidently, not because they don't know English, but because they don't trust themselves. So preparation becomes your armor. It shields you from the panic of, what if I forget a word? Or, what if they laugh at my accent? Because when you've practiced enough, when you've visualized enough, and when you've understood the building blocks, you no longer fear the unknown. You're ready for it. Let me give you a real example. One of my students, Maria, had studied English for 6 years but couldn't speak more than a few sentences. She thought something was wrong with her. We didn't start with speaking. We started with rebuilding her foundation, pronunciation, key grammar, and 10 words a week. We added 5 minutes of self-talk a day. Then once a week, she joined a language exchange. After 1 month, she told me, I had my first full conversation in English without freezing. That's the power of preparation, not magic, just method. Here's something else to keep in mind. Progress is not linear. Some days your English will flow. Other days, you'll fumble on simple words. That's normal. Don't let a bad practice session convince you that you're not improving. Fluency is built through repetition, reflection, and resilience. Celebrate your small wins. Did you use a new phrase today? That counts. Did you record yourself for 60 seconds without stopping? That's progress. Keep stacking these wins. Also, don't isolate your practice to one method. Rotate between speaking, listening, reading, and writing. They support each other. Watch shows with subtitles, then shadow the dialogue. Read short stories aloud. Write journal entries about your day. Everything you do in English strengthens your speaking skills, directly or indirectly. Let's not forget feedback. Practicing without correction can form bad habits, so once a week, ask a language partner or tutor to give you gentle but honest feedback. Focus on 1 or 2 corrections, not 10. You're not trying to be perfect, just a little better than yesterday. At this stage, one major mistake learners make is comparing themselves to others. She sounds like a native. He speaks faster than me. Comparison kills progress. The only person you should compete with is the version of you from last week. If you're more confident than you were a month ago, you're winning. To wrap this up, preparation is not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming fearless. When you understand how English works, when you practice daily in small ways, when you visualize success, something shifts. You stop seeing English as a mountain and start seeing it as a path you can walk, step by step. So go back to the basics. Build your foundation. Speak daily, even if it's messy. Picture yourself succeeding. And most of all, believe that you can become the speaker you've always dreamed of being. Because with the right preparation, you're already halfway there. Chapter 2. Facing Your Fears. Even after all the preparation, the grammar drills, the vocabulary sessions, the long nights of shadowing dialogues, there's still something that lingers, something that can quietly sabotage your confidence. It's not your accent. It's not your grammar mistakes. It's fear. That silent voice inside your head whispering, "You're not good enough." And unless you confront it directly, it will hold you back no matter how prepared you are. This is where the real work begins. Not in your mouth, but in your mind. The first step in facing your fears is identifying and challenging your negative self-talk. We all have it. That little voice that says, "I'm too slow, I'll mess up, people will laugh at me," or worse, "I'll never be fluent." These thoughts feel true because they're familiar, but familiarity doesn't mean truth. It means repetition, and what's repeated becomes a belief. Start noticing your inner dialogue. Write down what you hear yourself say before or after a conversation attempt. Don't judge it, just observe. Are your thoughts helping you grow, or are they feeding your fear? Once you see the patterns, you can interrupt them. Instead of, "I always mess up my sentences," tell yourself, "Every mistake helps me improve." Instead of, "They'll laugh at my accent," replace it with, "My accent tells a story of courage. I'm learning a new language." This is called cognitive reframing, and it's a game changer. You're not lying to yourself. You're shifting the lens. You're giving your brain a new narrative, one that allows you to grow instead of shrink. But even with better self-talk, fear doesn't disappear instantly. Why? Because most of us were taught to avoid mistakes. From school tests to job interviews, mistakes were framed as failure. But language learning doesn't follow that rule. In fact, mistakes are the fuel of fluency. That's why the second mindset shift is to embrace imperfection. You will mispronounce words. You will forget vocabulary mid-sentence. You will say things that sound funny. And that's okay. That's expected. That's how it's supposed to go. Think about a toddler learning to walk. They fall, stumble, get up, fall again. But they don't stop. No one laughs at them or tells them to quit. Everyone cheers. Why? Because we know they're learning. That same grace belongs to you. You're walking in a new language. Of course, you'll stumble. But if you keep going, step by step, you'll find your rhythm. When you accept imperfection, something powerful happens. Fear loses its grip. You stop hesitating. You stop rehearsing the perfect sentence in your head before speaking. You start focusing on communicating, not performing. And that's where real fluency begins. Still, many learners obsess over being perfect before they speak. The perfect vocabulary, the perfect accent, the perfect timing. But that mindset only leads to paralysis. You wait, and life moves on without you. That's why the final and most empowering shift is this. Focus on progress, not perfection. Start tracking your growth, even in small ways. Did you join a language exchange this week? That's progress. Did you record yourself speaking for the first time? That's a huge step. Did you understand a new word in a podcast without translating? That's fluency creeping in. Create a success journal for your English journey. Every evening, write down one win, no matter how small. Maybe you ordered food in English. Maybe you answered a phone call. Maybe you corrected yourself mid-sentence. These micro-victories are your ladder, and every step matters. When you look back after a month, you'll see how far you've come, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. Progress doesn't care how fast you go. It only asks that you keep moving. Let me share a personal story. One of my students, Adil, was a brilliant thinker. He could write essays in English that read like poetry. But speaking? He avoided it like the plague. One-on-one, he'd go silent, his hands would shake, his voice would vanish. He thought he was bad at speaking. But what he was really battling was fear. Fear of being judged, of not being understood, of not being good enough. We started small. Instead of speaking with others, I asked him to speak to himself in the mirror for 2 minutes a day. No judgment, no corrections, just expression. At first he mumbled, then he stumbled, then he smiled. Slowly, his voice returned. He replaced, "I can't do this," with, "I'm getting better every day." He stopped apologizing for his mistakes and started owning his journey. Within 3 months, Adil was leading group discussions. not flawlessly, but fearlessly. That's the power of reframing, embracing imperfection, and tracking progress. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. Now you might be wondering, what if I still feel afraid? Here's the truth. You can feel fear and still move forward. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to show up with fear and speak anyway. And every time you do, fear shrinks a little more. Don't wait to feel ready. Speak before you're ready. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. Confidence is what you earn after showing up, falling, rising, and trying again. Speak up in class. Join that voice chat. Say hello to a stranger. Start before you're fluent. That's how you become fluent. Here's a challenge. In the next 7 days, do one thing that makes you uncomfortable in English. It could be a voice message, a recorded introduction, or reading a paragraph aloud. Rate your fear before and after. You'll see it drops every time you act. Facing your fear is not about being bold all the time. It's about being brave in small moments. One conversation, one message, one attempt. These tiny moments build into something massive, confidence. And please, don't walk this journey alone. Talk to other learners. Share your struggles. You'll realize how common these fears are. When you open up, you find support. And support creates safety, the safety to try, fail, and grow. Lastly, forgive yourself. On bad days, when the words don't come, or when fear wins, don't punish yourself. Language learning is emotional. It stirs up memories, insecurities, self-doubt. Be gentle with yourself. Tomorrow is another chance. The only failure is quitting. Remember, the fear of speaking isn't about English. It's about identity. You're putting yourself out there. You're afraid of not being enough, of not being accepted. But let me tell you, your effort, your voice, your journey, it matters. You are enough. Right now. Right here. With broken sentences and beautiful mistakes. So the next time that fear rises in your throat, take a breath. Speak anyway. Say the wrong word. Laugh about it. Correct it. Keep going. Because fear is loud, but it's not your truth. Your truth is this. You are growing, you are trying, and you are getting better. Every single day. Chapter 3. Building confidence through engagement. Once you've challenged your fears and started trusting your voice, the next step is to build confidence through consistent, active engagement. This is the part where theory becomes reality. You've laid the foundation with grammar, vocabulary, and mindset. Now it's time to immerse yourself in the living, breathing world of English. Because the more you live inside the language, the less foreign it becomes. Immersion doesn't require a plane ticket. You don't need to move to London or New York to be surrounded by English. With a little intention, you can create an English-rich environment no matter where you live. It starts by simply changing what you consume. If you watch videos, watch them in English. If you listen to music, choose English songs. If you enjoy scrolling social media, follow English-speaking content creators, comedians, educators, and even meme pages. Start small. maybe just 10 minutes a day of English input. Watch a short documentary on YouTube, listen to a daily news summary in English while getting ready in the morning, or tune in to a podcast that fits your interest, whether it's motivation, health, fashion, or personal growth. The more relatable the content, the easier it is to absorb and enjoy. Passive exposure helps your brain pick up on sentence structure, natural expressions, and pronunciation patterns, even when you're not actively studying. But don't just consume, interact. Leave comments in English. React to stories with simple sentences like, "That's so funny," or "I didn't know that." This turns your input into output. It's the difference between watching from the sidelines and stepping onto the field. Every time you type or speak, you're reinforcing your fluency. Remember, confidence is a skill built through action. That said, the fastest way to solidify everything you've learned is by engaging in real-life conversations. Nothing replaces the experience of talking to another person, hearing their voice, reacting in real time, and managing the unpredictability of human interaction. Yes, it can feel scary at first, but every sentence you speak, even the broken ones, is a victory over hesitation. If you're in a city or community with English speakers, look for ways to connect in everyday situations. Greet a tourist, offer directions, ask simple questions like, "Where are you from?" or "Are you enjoying your visit?" These moments don't need to be long or complex. Their power lies in the fact that you're using English in the real world. You can also join local clubs, workshops, or meetups where English is the medium. Think book clubs, sports groups, volunteer events, or even church communities. Not only will you practice your English, but you'll also build friendships and cultural understanding. These environments are usually forgiving, social, and supportive, perfect for language learners who are still finding their confidence. If you're shy or feel unsure about jumping into face-to-face conversations, try low-pressure environments. For example, volunteer at an organization where your main task is assisting or greeting. You don't have to give long speeches. Just practice small, repeatable interactions. Say, "Good morning," ask, "How can I help you?" or share a smile with a kind word. These moments build your communication muscle without overwhelming you. If in-person options are limited, then turn to the power of technology. There has never been a better time to learn English. Thanks to hundreds of free and paid resources designed to make learning interactive, fun, and effective. Language apps like Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise, and Busuu turn vocabulary and grammar practice into games, rewarding you with badges, streaks, and instant feedback. These platforms are excellent for quick daily reviews, especially when you're on the go. But to build speaking confidence, you need to go beyond vocabulary flashcards. That's where apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, and Speaky shine. These platforms connect you with real people who want to exchange languages. You teach them your native tongue, and they help you with English. Conversations can be text, audio, or video, whatever you're comfortable with. The beauty is that both of you are learners, so there's no pressure to be perfect. It's about mutual growth, not judgment. Many learners also benefit from AI-powered tools like chatbots or pronunciation assistants. Platforms like Elsa Speak analyze your accent and give you tips on how to improve. Others, like Speak or Fluent U, allow you to practice real-life scenarios, from ordering coffee to going for a job interview, through simulated dialogue. It's like role-playing your way to fluency. For more structured speaking practice, consider joining online conversation clubs or group classes via Zoom or Skype. Websites like Italki, Preply, and Cambly offer affordable sessions with native or near-native tutors. Some offer group discussions, others focus on one-on-one practice. You can even choose tutors who specialize in accent reduction, IELTS prep, or business English, whatever fits your goals. But here's the key. Don't just install these apps and forget them. Use them consistently. Set reminders. Schedule a 15-minute session before dinner. Track your streak. The brain thrives on repetition, and confidence grows when you show up again and again, even in small doses. Let me tell you about Junaid, a former student of mine. He lived in a small town in Pakistan and had no one around to speak English with. But he was determined. So he made English his daily environment, his phone, his music, his YouTube feed, all in English. Every morning, he listened to English news while having breakfast. Every evening, he messaged a language partner through HelloTalk. He also recorded short diary entries about his day and used AI apps to improve his pronunciation. 6 months later, he had his first video call with a Canadian tutor. His voice shook at first. He made mistakes. But he kept going. And by the end of the session, he was smiling because he understood and he was understood. That moment changed his mindset forever. I can speak English, he told me. Not perfectly, but confidently. And that's what engagement gives you. Not perfection, but power. Power to speak even when unsure. Power to connect even when nervous. Power to keep showing up. So as you move forward in your English journey, remember this. You don't need more textbooks. You need more exposure, more interaction, more play. Turn English into something you live with, not something you study for. Watch Netflix in English. Sing your favorite English songs. Send voice notes to your friends. Laugh at English memes. Listen, speak, read, write, do it all. Every piece reinforces the others. And most importantly, be patient. Confidence doesn't explode overnight. It builds quietly, steadily, through effort and experience. It comes from taking tiny, brave steps every day, watching instead of scrolling, speaking instead of staying silent, writing instead of waiting. So immerse, engage, leverage the tools around you. Don't just learn English, live it. Because when English becomes a part of your daily rhythm, confidence is no longer a goal. It becomes your reality. Chapter 4. The Importance of Self-Care. When you're fully immersed in your English learning journey, consuming content, speaking with others, using apps, showing up day after day, it's easy to forget one essential thing: yourself. The truth is, learning a language isn't just a mental activity. It's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual even. And if you ignore your well-being, no amount of vocabulary lists or grammar drills will help you feel confident. Confidence grows best in a healthy, rested, supported mind and body. That's where self-care enters the picture. Start with the basics. Sleep. You can't focus in conversations if your mind is foggy. You can't process new grammar structures when your brain is exhausted. Many learners underestimate just how important rest is. But studies show that sleep is directly linked to memory retention and emotional regulation, both crucial for learning. So ask yourself, are you getting at least 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep? If not, that might explain why your motivation feels low or your speech feels sluggish. Prioritize rest like you would a study session, because without it, your efforts don't stick. Next, consider your diet and physical health. A body that's fueled with whole foods, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, proteins, supports a brain that can absorb, recall, and respond. Ever notice how hard it is to think straight after too much sugar or caffeine? Or how your anxiety spikes when you skip meals? These things may seem unrelated to English learning, but they matter. Language confidence comes from mental clarity. Mental clarity comes from physical health. It's all connected. And don't underestimate the power of movement. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. Just move. Go for a walk. Do light yoga. Stretch. Dance. Physical movement reduces stress, improves blood flow to the brain, and boosts your mood. And guess what? When your mood is better, you're more likely to try new things, like speaking up in English. You're less afraid of making mistakes. You laugh more. You relax into the rhythm of conversation. That's confidence in action, born from self-care, not just study. But self-care isn't only physical, it's deeply emotional. One of the most powerful tools for emotional support is community. Learning alone can be isolating. It's easy to believe you're the only one struggling, the only one stuck, the only one making mistakes. But when you connect with others who are walking the same path, everything changes. Suddenly, you feel understood. You feel encouraged. You feel less alone. That's why it's so important to find a supportive community of English learners. Not just to practice with, but to share experiences with. Join a Facebook group. Participate in a WhatsApp learning circle. Attend virtual language meetups. Find people who can cheer you on when you feel stuck and who need your encouragement too. The power of me too is real. When someone says, I struggled with that too, but here's what helped, it lights a spark of hope inside you. That hope leads to resilience, and resilience is where long-term confidence is born. Within your community, be open. Share your wins, even the tiny ones. I finally ordered coffee in English today. Or, I understood a full YouTube video without subtitles. These things matter. Celebrate them. And when someone else shares their progress, celebrate with them. Support flows both ways, and in that flow, everyone grows. Still, even with support, effort, and progress, there are days when it feels hard, days when you want to give up, when you question why you're even trying. That's when one simple self-care habit becomes a lifeline. Reward yourself. No one claps for you every time you practice. No one sees the hours you spend listening, reading, or speaking alone. That's why it's your job to acknowledge your effort. Not just the results, but the effort. If you studied 5 days this week, that's worth celebrating. If you joined your first conversation group, even if you barely spoke, that's a huge win. If you learned 10 new words and used just one in a sentence, that's progress. So set milestones and attach rewards to them. Not expensive or extravagant, just meaningful. Maybe after a month of consistent practice, you treat yourself to a new notebook or a special dessert. Maybe you allow yourself a movie night or a peaceful walk in your favorite park. These small acts of kindness toward yourself tell your brain, this matters. I'm doing something important. I'm proud of me. This isn't childish. It's neuroscience. Rewarding effort reinforces behavior. It makes you want to keep going. It shifts the focus from pressure and perfection to joy and motivation. And that shift builds emotional safety, the foundation of confidence. Let's take a moment to talk about emotional regulation too. Because sometimes self-care means giving yourself space. Space to not study today. Space to feel frustrated. Space to cry if you need to. Learning a language touches your identity. It makes you vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there, exposing your thoughts in a language that doesn't yet feel like home. That's brave, and bravery takes a toll. So on hard days, give yourself grace. Maybe today, instead of practicing speaking, you just listen to calming English music. Maybe you journal in your native language about how you're feeling. That counts as self-care. That counts as engagement. It's still part of your journey, just a softer part. Remember, burnout is real. Many learners start strong, then quit after a few months because they push too hard without rest. But consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means showing up again and again with compassion, with care, with rest and recovery built in. A great way to balance intensity with ease is to create a rhythm. Maybe 3 days a week you do focused speaking practice. 2 days you relax and consume English passively. A movie, a podcast, a funny YouTube channel. 1 day, you reflect or journal, and always, at the end of the week, reward yourself. Make your brain associate English learning with pleasure, not punishment. Here's something else. Self-care reminds you that you are more than your mistakes. You're not just someone learning English. You're a whole person with emotions, needs, dreams, and strengths. The more you take care of the whole you, the stronger and more confident the English-speaking you becomes. Let me tell you about Sophia, one of my learners from Brazil. She was brilliant, committed, and extremely hard on herself. Every mistake made her feel like a failure. Eventually, her anxiety got so bad she stopped speaking entirely. So instead of pushing more lessons, we paused. We focused on her well-being. She started meditating 5 minutes a day. She joined a support group for anxious language learners. She stopped trying to be perfect and started rewarding herself for every small act of courage. Within 2 months, her spark returned. She wasn't fluent yet, but she was free. Free from the shame, free from the fear. And that freedom became the fuel for her fluency. That's what self-care does. It doesn't just make you feel good, it makes learning sustainable. It turns temporary motivation into long-term transformation. So today, ask yourself, how are you really feeling? Are you rested, nourished, supported, encouraged, celebrated? If not, don't wait. Make a change. Join a community. Stretch, sleep, laugh, speak with kindness, celebrate your bravery. Treat yourself like the courageous learner you truly are. Because confidence doesn't just come from speaking, it comes from being well enough to speak, body, mind, and soul. Chapter 5. Unlocking Your Potential. At this stage in your journey, something starts to shift. You've faced your fears, you've built daily habits, you've immersed yourself in the language and pushed yourself through real conversations. You've even learned to take care of your body, your mind, and your emotional health. But there's still one final piece to becoming the confident English speaker you want to be. And that's understanding that this is a journey of potential, not perfection. Too many learners look at fluency like it's a final destination, a finish line where everything becomes easy, where there are no more mistakes, no more hesitations. But the truth is, confidence is not a moment you arrive at. It's a state you build, nurture, and grow into. It's not about knowing every word in the dictionary. It's about knowing that you're growing, even on the hard days. That's what it means to embrace the journey. So many learners lose motivation because they only look forward. They keep saying, "I'm not fluent yet. I still sound awkward. I still forget words." But what if you stopped for a second and looked back? Look at where you were a few months ago. Could you hold a full sentence back then? Were you watching English videos with subtitles on? Were you scared to speak at all? Now look at you. Maybe you've joined a language group. Maybe you can introduce yourself confidently. Maybe you're not silent anymore when someone speaks English around you. That is growth. That is progress. And it deserves to be celebrated. The journey to confidence is full of tiny wins. And if you don't take time to notice them, you'll never feel satisfied. So start celebrating small victories. Every time you learn a new word and use it, write it down. Every time you successfully answer a question in English, smile. Every time you understand a podcast without pausing, even for 5 minutes, that's a win. When you begin to measure your progress instead of your perfection, something amazing happens. You enjoy the process more. You stop chasing the illusion of fluent and start experiencing the joy of better than yesterday. That mindset shift is what unlocks your potential. Now, part of embracing the journey means having a clear direction, and that comes from setting realistic goals. A lot of learners say, "I want to speak English fluently," but what does that actually mean? It's too vague, and vague goals lead to vague results. Instead, break your goal into smaller steps. Don't just aim for fluency. Aim to have a 5-minute conversation. Aim to tell someone about your day. Aim to ask for directions or describe your favorite movie. Set weekly or monthly goals that are specific, measurable, and personal. For example, this week I'll learn 10 new words related to my job. This weekend, I'll watch one English film without subtitles and write a short summary. This month, I'll join 2 English-speaking Zoom calls and introduce myself. Every time you hit one of these goals, check it off. That physical act of tracking your progress tells your brain, I'm doing it, I'm growing. And the more your brain sees evidence of success, the more motivated you feel to keep going. But let's be honest, even with clear goals and small wins, there will be tough days. Days where you feel stuck. Days when you forget everything. Days where nothing seems to come out right. And in those moments, the most important quality you can have is not talent, not knowledge, but patience. Learning a language is a long-term investment. It's like planting a tree. You can water it, give it sunlight, care for it, but it won't grow overnight. Some days, you won't see any progress at all, but underneath the surface, the roots are growing. Your mind is processing, adjusting, absorbing, and eventually, that invisible work leads to visible breakthroughs. So be patient with yourself. You're not a machine. You're a human being learning something deeply complex. You're not just learning words, you're learning rhythm, tone, body language, cultural context. That takes time, and it's okay if you're not there yet. What matters is that you keep showing up. Persistence is what turns potential into power. You don't have to be perfect every day, but you do have to stay in motion. Even on the hard days, do something small. Watch a short video, read one page of an article, repeat a sentence out loud. Even 1 minute counts. Because every drop adds up. Every brick builds the wall. Let me tell you about a learner named Amir. When he started, he couldn't speak more than 1 sentence. Every time he tried, he froze. But instead of quitting, he made a rule. Just speak 1 sentence a day. That's it. Sometimes it was to himself. Sometimes in a WhatsApp voice note. Sometimes during his Zoom English class. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He just showed up. 1 sentence at a time. After 3 months, he was holding full conversations. After 6 months, he was helping other learners with pronunciation. Not because he was special, but because he was consistent. And that's the final key to unlocking your potential. Consistency over intensity. You don't need to study for 5 hours once a week. You need to engage with a language 10 to 15 minutes every day. That's how habits are formed. That's how your brain learns that English isn't a school subject. It's part of your life. If you stay patient, set clear goals, and celebrate your progress, confidence will come naturally. You'll wake up one day and realize you're thinking in English. You'll be in a conversation and notice you're not translating in your head anymore. You'll say something, and someone will laugh or nod or reply, and you'll realize you were understood. That's the reward. Not perfect grammar, not native-like accent, but connection, clarity, confidence. So today, wherever you are in your journey, take a deep breath. You're doing better than you think. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are not failing. You are becoming. Becoming a speaker, becoming a communicator, becoming the version of you who can show up, speak up, and share your voice with the world. And if that voice shakes sometimes, that's okay. Shaking doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're growing. Keep growing. Keep speaking. Keep walking. Because the only thing between you and fluency is time. And if you give it time, if you keep showing up, if you keep believing in yourself, you will unlock the full power of your potential.